What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. We just finished up watching Port take on the Dockers at Optus Stadium Sunday twilight, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. It didn't disappoint at the fact that I realised that this is the worst time slot and the worst combination of teams in the comp when it comes to watching that standard of football. It was terrible. It was shocking. It was that bad I slept through the first quarter. So that's how good we're going today. I will say though, Port Adelaide did get the job done by 16 points in a game of football that, as I said, it was subpar standard. It was not exactly what we wanted to see, but it was a game that I sort of expected to have that kind of energy and that kind of quality of football, because Freo would have dragged us down to their standard and really made it look, well, not fun. But it was frustrating. It was very difficult to handle throughout the 3 quarters that I watched. But nonetheless, we got the 4 points, and I'm very happy with that. So let's get straight into it. Let's review round 23. We've locked in, obviously, a top 4 spot last week. We've almost guaranteed ourselves to travel to Brisbane next in a couple of weeks' time in finals. Brisbane take on St Kilda next week. We play the Tigers. So we're just hoping for a miracle St Kilda win, which would be absolutely superb for us to push forward and make sure that we we get a top 2 spot. But regardless, we're just going to keep winning, making sure we have our own momentum and focus on ourselves from here on. And obviously winning the last 2 with the Dockers and the Giants, and next week playing the Tigers on Sunday afternoon. I think it's just a thing where we have to continue our momentum and make sure that we really make a positive impact come finals. The game itself today was definitely not something we'll be watching anytime soon. I'm not pulling up that replay, nor the highlights or any of the goals. Probably won't even watch it during the week when the club posts it on the socials. Just one of those days, wasn't it? Where it was just ugly. It was not great to watch. It was poor quality. We weren't hitting targets. We stooped to their level. Freo had opportunities but missed them, as every lower team does in the comp. And yeah, it's just not something that really gives you much excitement or hope going into the final series, and that does occur from time to time, especially with the quality of teams we'll be playing. And we said that last week. We played the Giants, who are in good great nick. Our performance last week, considering what the Giants did to Essendon this weekend, all of a sudden goes up a couple of levels. So because pumping them by 50 points and then them pumping Essendon by 120, it just makes you think how each week is so very different in the AFL world. So very impressed, but nonetheless, this game was not something I'm going to look back on. Something to take away, Zach Butter's another 3-vote performance. I think he was a standout today. He's just hard at the footy. He was one that was really energetic and brought something from our midfield. And I know our contested work wasn't great today. Our clearances from centre bounces were elite. I think at one stage we were leading 8-2 or something like that. So it was definitely his doing in majority of the part. Combine that with an early rosy performance where he sort of died off in the end, and I think Horn Francis was in thereabouts in stages, and he impacted the third quarter massively and really took the game on, which is something we lacked throughout the day. It was those types of players. I thought Darcy Van Jones' game was really, really good. He was just really impactful and kicked 2 late goals in the last quarter that were really crucial to keeping the stead of this game for us and getting us the 4 points. I thought the games from Miles Bergwijn were okay. Ollie Wines had a good performance as well. I just think there was a lot of passengers throughout the day and probably players that almost had almost games. You look at Dersma had an almost game. Willem Drew had an almost game. Todd Marshall was almost kicking 5 goals today but didn't kick one. He was great. Marshall was interesting because he put himself in the right positions. He had set shots. He had opportunities. Fluffed all of them. 2 out on the falls. I think 1 hit the post. 1 was flying left. He was weird for Toddy Marshall, and I hope that comes back his way. His mojo's obviously gone off a bit, so hopefully it comes back to him, especially over the next couple of weeks. Finn Layson again, he was another one that had an almost game. His, losing one-on-ones definitely impacts him in terms of confidence. So that's just something that you don't want from your forwards. I thought Rioli's game was an almost game. Jed McEntee had a good game today. His pressure was elite, I thought. I keep saying people. Now, I said a couple of weeks ago that Jed should have been dropped or rested because he's played majority of the year, and that's going to take its toll. The last couple of weeks, he started to find that 1 goal, 11-12 possession game, but 4 or 5 tackles. Lead up small forward as well. He's starting to add to his game, so definitely not his worst of the year. So I was very impressed with that. And then we see the injuries. Can our blokes stop running into each other? Burton and Jonas. Jonas opened up his head, and Burton's got a knee injury. Gets subbed out. Boat comes on, which I was happy with. But what are you doing? Like, you should know where your players are, and just wild. And I don't understand, but yeah, I obviously Jonas came back on, vintage with his headband on, a head bandage, and Burton getting subbed off with the knee injury. Boat comes on, and then plays a game of football, Boak, in that last quarter that was a little bit vintage Boak. Now, I'm not saying he was standout or anything, but just dancing through contests, hitting up lead-up targets, contested ball work, just there. And I'm not sure who hit him in the back that caused the Darcy Burns-Jones goal in the last quarter, but he's on the hit list. And if that continues to happen, things will be done. I'm not threatening anyone or anything, but you know who you are. Overall, I didn't want to comment too much on this game because we all saw it. We all saw how bad it was. And we just get another win on the trot and keep our top 2 chances alive. So good luck to Port next week. Good luck to St Kilda next week because I'm hoping they get the job done against Brisbane. And I think overall this performance will be looked at as just 4 points on the board. We weren't really going to... we probably all expected the way we played. But I think there's one thing in particular that's really annoying me about Port Adelaide. And that's our momentum in our own team. Now, you speak about momentum in games of footy. Swings both ways for both sides. There is a momentum within each team that everyone gets going. Everyone's on the same wavelength. We have that in spurts at the moment. Whereas during the streak and during winning games in our best games of football, we had that for 4 quarters. And that was continuing. Whether the opposition would get 4 or 5 goals, 3 or 4 goals, whatever the amount against us, we'd bounce back, we'd click into gear, and we really make sure that we were all on the same page. Probably lost that a little bit at the moment. Lost that edge that we had. And I don't know if it's just fatigue. I don't know if it's just a lack of connection. The illness is still lingering. It's almost like we need a rest. And I'm not sure why. Because we had a bye 7 or 8 weeks ago. So it's just, there's something a bit off about Port. And I think we need to click that. And if we can get a good run next week and then have the finals bye, then hopefully that will click something. But I'm not convinced. Nor am I happy. But Port won, Crows lost. So good weekend. Alright, Port fans, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. The Glass Table episode will be out on Monday. Make sure you check that out and leave a comment below your thoughts on this week's game. My name's Anthony, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Come the pair.